Welcome to Battletoads Part 3. But since we have a lot to talk about, so I'll let Jova take the floor since I know he has a lot to get off his chest.
So, folks, we're totally gonna take down the Dark Queen this early into the game.
There's bound to be some wacky twist, isn't there?
That's right, they could hire him for making the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh, God, that
TCG.
design. Yeah, I want to take you people back to when the trailer that showcased the Dark Queen came up. And I recall that trailer had more dislikes than likes. Because that trailer showed the biggest problem with this art style here. While I feel like the art style does work relatively for the Battletoads, and even they have their own issues that I'll get to later, it does not work for other characters. Case in point, the Dark Queen. And oh my god, this is not funny.
Can you slow down, please? I'm trying to write this.
Zitz gave her only 10 seconds to explain herself.
Let me check who she's voiced by.
Okay, I do like the voice acting. I do like the voice acting. The voice actors are definitely trying their best.
Oh,
Siobhan Hewlett. I'll check later what she's. I'll check her later what she's done.
I particularly like Rash's voice actor. Like he even when he's saying something unfunny, he's at the very least sounds charming when he says.
Well,
them.
we did mention I think in the first part that he's voiced by Eric Bauza.
Yeah, you're right. It's right, Eric Bauza. I love Eric Bauza, so yeah, that explains it. So yeah,
the voice actors are definitely giving it their all. It's just the script they have to work with. Also, typical villain teams up with good guys thing. And look, okay, let me put it like this. Just because I point out a trope or cliche doesn't automatically mean it's bad. It's just that the way this game goes about doing those feels so by the numbers. Like, yes, I've seen this in so many series where the villain has to team up with the good guys here. The problem is this game's tone here. See,
Tochambo! Sorry, Jova, but sorry, Jova, but someone declared Tochambo. Let me explain.
Oh boy.
Tochambo is rock paper scissors. Toaster beats instrument. Puppet beats toaster. And you figured that one out.
For those of you wondering, don't worry. This won't really affect like whatever happens in the story. It's just a fun little thing.
I mean, that'd be like if I made a game like this where TV beats cupboard door.
It does remind me
It's meant to be. They're trying to do surreal 90s cartoon humor, something like you would see in Earthworm Jim, but they're not very good at it.
It also reminds me of Castle Crashers, where sometimes it has some intermission where you do weird shit like this.
Okay. Put it this way: there's a reason why back in the 90s. I gravitated more towards Disney cartoons rather than cartoons like this.
Well, here's the thing, though. Back in the 90s, this thing was balls to the wall, edgy, gritty, but also had something of a somber tune mixed with the comedy effect here. Here, want to know why it worked, though? The characters took it seriously. That was part of the charm of the 90s, was having these weird and wacky scenarios, but having the characters play it straight.
Well, yeah, that's what I love about that. That's why I love Inazuma 11 so much, because it's this incredibly silly premise and silly concept, and the characters take it completely seriously, and I just love that.
Jesus.
So here's the main problem with this game's narrative and tone by extension. They're trying to go with we're self-aware now, so of course we make fun of ourselves element. Here's the problem, though. I, among many other fans, would argue that, well, you're taking away the charm of the original. And I'm not just talking about how the animation or look of this lacks the grit of the 90s. I mean the feel of it as well here. And I get it. It's a typical thing to do when you've had a year's gap between sequels here and there. But Battletoads, I feel, could have at least have had maybe a remake of the original or another sequel that was playing things straight before we go the whole, self-aware stuff, because it unfortunately makes the franchise as a whole feel like it didn't have as much an identity beforehand. Now, like I've mentioned, there were multiple games, but a lot of one of them was an arcade game, so its canonicity is already called into question. I know there was a crossover with Double Dragon. I think the only other thing that could be considered a straight-on sequel was Battletoads and Battlemaniacs. Here.
Well, Jova, in the previous part, Rash specifically yelled out, "Battletoads reboot!" So the game literally proclaims itself as a reboot.
Which is, again, a thing, though. This leads us to a scenario akin to Teen Titans Go here. And here's the thing, it wasn't exactly what fans were asking for. When fans want to return to form, they want to return to form, not something that is completely different like this, and at worst, actually craps on the original.
For the record,
I mean, it's like... I think I've got something, Jova, that kind of fits your analogy.
Uh-huh.
It's like, again, I know I keep mentioning it, but it is a fitting example, I feel. It's like when they brought back James Bond with GoldenEye, and all the elements were there.
You talk about the game or the movie.
But GoldenEye was good, though.
Yeah, what I mean is, you'd expect a lot of the things you'd expect from Bond were there, except the music, because for some reason they decided to go for this really bizarre and not very good sounding synth/string feel, and it really didn't work. In fact, it so didn't work that they had to replace one of the music tracks.
Interesting.
Wow, that bad?
No, but
It was a tank chase scene.
to add what Jova was saying, yeah, this is yet much like Bleeding Edge and what's the other one? I forgot the other one.
What are you thinking of?
Forget the pants first.
Whatever.
United with an old frenemy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. God, the Honey I Shrunk the Kids game. What's his name again?
Rick Moranis?
No. The game, the Microsoft game that's kind of like that where you fight bugs.
Grounded.
That's it. Much like Grounded and Bleeding Edge. After it, those games came. They kind of disappeared because nobody gave a crap, and they didn't, and nobody really talks about them, basically.
Also, did
we Halo reference.
Halo, huh? Also, did we seriously need to censor the middle finger?
Hell, the fact that
I really don't understand.
The game is rated E. That's the thing.
Also, I know, guys. This is. I don't know about you guys. This is a half decent. This is a half decent web cartoon. Oh no, wait, is it?
Also,
yeah, okay.
Also, didn't the Battletoads used to have like a chicken pilot professor or something? What happened to him?
I don't think Rare or Dilala care to.
I think he died, Tio. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, that's the thing about this reboot here. So they talk about it being a reboot, but it clearly did take time in between their original ventures, so why not go the full way to
allow me, Jova.
Hello.
Here's what it is, Jova. It's a reboot on a meta sense, in the sense that they claim it's a reboot, but they still reference stuff on the previous games, even though technically, story-wise, it's a reboot, basically. But they still reference because we're meta and we're funny. That's the basic gist of it.
You know, okay, this tactic did work with the Animaniacs reboot because, well, honestly, even the reboot itself admits that we're really just a sequel disguising ourselves as a reboot here and there.
Basically, yeah.
Whereas with this one, though, it feels like the joke is played straight, which is ironic because it's supposed to be meta. Anyway, speaking of meta, our new enemies for this game, folks.
The Topians.
In case you're...
half an ice... well, looks like they're ripping off the ice lolly from the stick.
In case you're wondering,
I kinda get the thought process for the physical design. Okay, if they actually had googly eyes instead of BK one, they would fit much with the Rare traditional style of putting googly eyes over shapes and everything. But there's something just wrong about this.
Yeah, it looks like me and Jova took our ice lollies and pretended they were sock puppets or something.
You know what these look like? These look like poor man's... Oh, and they
Let me check.
That's the problem with the humor of these guys. The humor of this guy is basically it's post season 10 Family Guy, where we just drag the joke for way too long. And
people say the evil twins from Crash Twin Sanity.
Oh God! Look,
these guys are pretty much the tallest from Invader Zim.
Pride and Prejudice. Ha ha ha.
Oh, okay. So here's the main gimmick with the Topians. Everybody hates them, but they can't fathom being hated. So they're basically
Hold
a
on.
sheltered snowflake. Oh.
Secret entrance into Topian City. However, I need to speak with him alone.
Okay, what's going on here?
Hi.
I was a leader. Are you all conspiring behind my back?
I thought Rash was the leader.
No, Zitz
No,
is.
that's what.
I wouldn't really give Ratch a leadership position too.
Rash is the Michelangelo.
I don't know, Pedro. He got the sunglasses. He's cool for me.
Is
He's
is
Michelangelo mixed with Raph.
Is this a riff on Rise of the TMNT not having a leader or something?
Stupid.
Rise of the TMNT does have a leader.
Tishy boom.
It's Raphael in that show.
Toad Shambo! Oh, look at that. I'm sure Joe will love this. A Toad Shambo made for the exact specific purpose of just shitting on the Dark Queen.
Okay.
Wait, Dwips, you
It
didn't
was
know
your
that?
boss fight, I guess.
No. I keep hearing different things from different people.
Okay, to their
Okay,
credit,
from now on, whenever you have a TMNT question, just ask me, okay?
Sure.
okay, to their credit, I get why they wouldn't exactly be too privy to being nice to the Dark Queen. Like, for their first few ventures, she did make their lives living hell.
Yeah, it's like she's the main
Oh my god!
antagonist.
You know, I just realized something. You know what was a missed opportunity? Having the Toads talk about how she tormented them with the BS difficulty of their original game. Like, it's such an obvious joke to make, but they didn't make that one. And that one could have actually been good because it would have addressed something that people have talked about,
hello.
yes, but would have actually worked with the universe in that sense. Also, this game falls into that pit trap of not really explaining why people suddenly forgot these guys existed. Or hell, how old are these guys, since it's apparently been 26 years they spent in that.
It's shut up age.
Stop,
Sci-fi logic. I can understand that.
stop thinking about
Fair
it.
enough.
Same reason why Ratchet doesn't age.
So what we're gonna have next, Ratchet and Clank
So,
a day or so.
Great job.
Oh.
Jeff is fine. Jeff is fine.
A lot of things are wrong.
Can I talk to him?
This is Jeff.
Jeff, you sound different.
Jeff the Killer.
Pink mouth. So
Let me check who did voice Jeff.
Okay. That bit was a bit fun.
Jeff's body earned those
Wade Randolph.
See what we did and then
Okay, so there's something interesting about this. Maybe it's a stretch, a very weird stretch. But isn't it weird that how Jeff is supposedly this completely powerful man that has deep connections with other countries and whatnot?
Hmm?
yeah.
And his name is Jeff.
Like whom actually? That I mean, I don't know what reference you're making.
Radio chatter about a Topian checkpoint.
Yeah, I'll let
I
you
don't
figure
know.
that one out.
Hey, Deji, I feel like going to the Amazon right about now.
Okay, Jeff Bezos is many things, but I don't think he's a politician.
No, that's not who I'm talking about.
Okay, just tell him, Dej.
No, you'll figure
Deji,
it out.
Deji, it was bad enough when Joe was trying to mystery car. We don't need two.
Alright, let's just.
Anyway, let me check instead the voice actors, like I said. Siobhan Hewlett, the one who voices the Dark Queen. Let me see. Mostly TV actress. Let me see. Oh, she was in one episode of Midsummer Murder, actually. No,
Oh, and she was in Final Fantasy XIV Heaven's Soul.
Oh, Lady Iceheart. I actually know that character. Pretty good, actually. She was also in Rise of Rome, but I forgot who the character was supposed. Pedro, remind me again. Was Septima supposed to be the wife of our main character, of Marius?
Well, actually, no, Marius didn't have a wife.
Yeah, didn't he have a family that got killed?
No.
No, he had a
Yeah, he
sister
did.
and a mom and a dad. He didn't have a wife, too.
No. I'm pretty sure he had a wife.
Well,
and
regardless,
daughter who
maybe
was
she
killed.
was
No.
part of that family. Whatever, I'll check it anyway in between.
Well, then
fights.
in that case, she was either the mom or the sister. Well, actually, the mom. No, the sister had no lines. What am I talking about? The sister had no
Maybe
lines.
maybe she was that slave that was painted with the pink, with the white powder. Maybe I don't know.
All this
Anyway,
can be solved with a bit
me
of
check,
a look up on it.
follow
Yuto
up-
and PR voiced by Mike Rose and Drew Droeg. Mike Rose has literally no real resume. He started voicing stuff in Transformers Cyberverse from 2018, and this is the other major voice acting role that he has. Drew Droege, let me see, he's been voice acting since the early 2000s, but let me see. I don't see any another TV actor. I don't see any particular role that I can recognize here. Maybe
if I may. Oh,
go on, sorry.
I think now's a good time for me to bring up why people are very like the writing, the art style is also very hit and miss, and it's probably a good time to bring up the leading cause for that. The Dark Queen in this game, she does not feel like the Dark Queen from the original games. Like, say what you will about how little there may have been. Well, okay. Here's the thing, Glibs. If that's the point, then I here's what I ask: why bother making this if it's this different to the point where it's where people would consider it a different character? Like, this was the problem with Teen Titans Go at the start here. And yes, I do get that show has gotten better, but that doesn't change the fact that show was made on a very misleading premise here. Like, people asked for Teen Titans Season 6, and the network gave them something completely different here and there. And then the network proceeded to make fun of people for not liking it because how dare you not like this thing that you didn't ask for? It's sort of a bit of a similar thing here. Let's start off with the Dark Queen here. Her design in this game sucks. And that's not even getting into the lack of sex appeal. We'll get to that later. But, okay, look. It's possible to make a woman look attractive without having her be in an outfit as revealing as the old Dark Queen's outfit. I mean, I'd argue that her old outfit was relatively fun. There's nothing wrong with having a sexy woman and whatnot. But okay, let's say for the sake of argument, we really had to change her up here. The proportions on her are terrible. Her hands are way too big. Her head looks all wrong. The hair isn't even the right style. And her color scheme doesn't even fit with it. And that's not even getting into how bland and generic the outfit looks here and there. Like, nothing of it screams Dark Queen.
She doesn't even look memorable on her own merit. She's just like...
Deji and Trova, maybe you can help me on this one. What was the name of that female villain from Kim Possible?
She does.
Shigo?
Yeah, the one that
God, she does
look like her. Yeah,
she looks like Shigo, except not as hot.
That was about to mention.
I was gonna say more like she goes.
That particular design, for that particular villain's design, made more sense thanks to the color balance. I think one problem with the Dark Queen's new design is the actual color balance. The purple and black, that are badly distributed and doesn't make the actual overall appearance, appeasing to the eye. If you remember, the one distinct part of the Dark Queen for that little dress that she had, because it was pretty much bondage gear, was red, black, and red. Particularly also the cape thing and the spikes. So conserving some elements from that probably would have helped, like maybe have shoulder pads with spikes on it, or alternating some red, like say, like a particular belt or other pieces of the cloth. Something that John was mentioning to resemble that particular, design. So this is technically updated to appease a wider demographic, but at least it conserves some elements from the original. But no, we don't really have that either. Go on, Pedro. Sorry.
I actually have something to say that adds into what Jova was saying, but first let me just follow up on what Deji was saying like 10 minutes ago or so. No, that's the thing. Not just that, Deji. He's not just Bugs Bunny. He's also Tweety, Daffy Duck, Sylvester, and other miscellaneous voices in the shorts.
He's also Foop from Fairly Odd Parents.
Eric Pass is awesome.
Anyway.
But
yeah, yes.
And yes, like Deji was also saying, yes, Deji recently discovered that there was indeed a 90s cartoon that was good, that was adapted from a video game, because when I showed them from Gem. But anyway, the point is, that's the thing, Joe, but it also boils back to my main issue that I do have after realizing exactly what made the fan base like the Xbox brand to begin with. This, again, constant insistent on making things as family friendly as possible, because we're not allowed to have because back when the original Xbox came out, a lot of people, including even Sega fans at the time, considered the closest thing we had to a Dreamcast 2. Because remember, we actually did get some original Sega games for it, like Panzer Dragoon Orta, Jet Set Radio Future, Shenmue 2 on the US was an Xbox exclusive. Remember?
Yeah.
So and it wasn't just the Sega stuff. It was also the kind of stuff that was being made for the Xbox was, again, like the 360. It was aimed at young adults and late teens. You know, it was made for an older demographic. It was in the same way that Nintendo, just like Sega was the counter Nintendo, Xbox kind of took that place in the sense that they made games specifically for that kind of audience. They were very like into Gears of War, for example, whereas of course Gears of War is very bloody and gory and all that stuff. What?
You know, you just pointed out the irony here that, ironically, of the big three, Nintendo are the ones allowing the most risque stuff here.
That is
Sony
true.
have been on their whole censorship thing.
That is true.
And
yeah.
you know, Microsoft is trying to go for quote unquote more family-friendly stuff, or such family-friendly stuff like Gears or Halo or this. And
I will agree with you, Jova, but I will at the very least give credit that at the very least we're still allowed to get a game like Ghost of Tsushima, which is pretty violent. So it's not entirely 100%. I am honestly doubting right now, Jova, if we will ever see a game coming out of Xbox first-party studios that's as violent as Ghost of Tsushima or Gears of War, if you want me to use an Xbox example.
Well, okay, not in a sense of violent, but in terms of reserved for an adult audience. Has anyone checked the medium?
I haven't. I haven't. Sorry.
No.
Well, I hope you guys are looking
I
forward to that Last of Us remake.
Okay, the topical thing aside, it could be just a rumor. What I mean is,
at the time of this recording. Go ahead.
Yeah. Again, I agree. Sorry, go on, Julia.
No, wait, let Theo speak.
No. Go ahead, Julia.
To be fair, like, even if that is gonna be a thing or not, the fact that it pretty much is up there by a reputable source does mean that it is very much a possible thing.
Oh,
and
sure.
Trust me, and given the...
Hey, look, guys, I got a rare achievement. There you go, Theo. That's the Microsoft equivalent of a golden trophy, I guess.
Yay!
Okay.
Go ahead, Jova, continue.
Oh my god, how many?
Oh, but yeah, the problem, bringing this back to the Dark Queen, though, it's funny you mention that, because that also brings up here and there, though, the proportions on her make it seem like they intentionally wanted to make her look ugly so that I guess we can respect more plain-looking females. Like, there seems to be this obsession with a lot of companies that, oh, we have to suddenly make a female geared towards body positivity, or not have her be as well endowed, or this or that. Like,
It's the Mortal Kombat 11 problem.
Jova,
Yeah.
remember, a woman cannot be respectable if she looks hot. Don't you know that?
Hey Pedro, remember how Powerpuff Heroes 2016 suggests that women don't have breasts?
That's when I got rid of McFellum.
It's funny, we didn't mention it while we were commenting on, but I do distinctly remember this. When Streets of Rage 4 was announced, I think it was still around the time, or maybe later, when we had character showcase. Much like with the announcement back then of Ivy for Soul Calibur 6, the internet kind of panicked out when they revealed the new design of Blaze for Streets of Rage 4, because it was still showcasing, the miniskirt and even more provocative design. So a lot of people essentially threw a easy fit on that front, but developers essentially ignored that. But
Good on them for that.
But yeah, go on.
Oh, well, it's something to bring up Streets of Rage 4. I'd argue Streets of Rage 4 showed how you can have a maybe not as traditionally feminine, but still attractive-looking woman with a style. Like, she is definitely a lot more masculine for a woman, but I'd argue she still looks attractive, and she can definitely kick butt.
Yeah.
Which we'll be seeing more of in the upcoming...
Throw away the key.
Yeah, which we'll essentially be seeing more of in Mr. X's Nightmare and stuff. It's like, it goes to my point. Just because a woman is feminine looking does not automatically mean she's bad. I acknowledge that there are ways to do it, like as Streets of Rage 4 showed, but that's the thing. It wasn't like they tried to pretend like she didn't have the equipment that a woman has either though.
It's this idea that it's this idea that in order for this woman to be a respectable character, she can't be beautiful looking. Like it would be the equivalent of of if someone tried to say, this male character cannot be respectable because he looks muscular and has no shirt.
In case you're wondering where the whole original versus untumblrized meme came from, it came from this constant insistence that, stuff can only look good if it doesn't look conventionally attractive. People got tired of it and eventually made untumblrized versions. The joke is that sometimes the original versions are the untumblrized versions. My point is that with the Dark Queen, they pretty much stripped her of all her personality and all her good looks here and there. And I argue that, here's the thing, the Dark Queen from
I made
the original,
her less, hire me, Nintendo.
But yeah,
So, okay, here's the thing about the Dark Queen, she's not even good to look at. And yeah, I get it, she's a Dark Queen and all, but usually it's a neat subversion to have somebody be attractive, be the villain, versus somebody who doesn't look as conventionally attractive, case in point, the Battletoads, be the good guys. Which again harkens back to the point of the original Grit from the 90s here and there. That's another thing. The Dark Queen looked more realistic in nature as opposed to the cartoony Battletoads, which helped amp up the fear towards her. How, she contrasted. Here, she's pretty much cartoonified now. Like, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but even Teen Titans Go knew how to handle a more serious villain better in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie. With Slade. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was still a more comedic version, and he's voiced by Will Arnett, so yeah, definitely comedic, but he did manage to up the ante to the point where you could go, this is actually a serious moment in a Teen Titans Go property of all things.
To add to what Jova is saying, the people that I'm familiar with when it comes to the Xbox core fanbase would have far preferred if the game would look more like the way Rash looks in the new Killer Instinct game.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's just a matter of design alone, I can imagine that. But if it's a matter of making the game instead actual 3D, I rather I rather prefer what they did now for this, because at least the thought process was in the right direction of instead, trying to make it more similar, an evolution of the digital of the actual sprites, and instead making it 2D animated. Sure, it might be cheap, especially because it was done with the Unity engine, but it's also much more commendable with a lot of 2.5D. How?
Jeff!
How?
No!
Me personally, it's an okay design in and of its, but probably would have been better if it were like the Dark Queen's bubbles.
Probably. Yeah, actually that would have worked out a lot better.
Honestly, the thing that baffles me most about the Dark Queen is the fact that in the original she was essentially there to intimidate you and in a position of power. While here, she's played more like of a scientist than anything.
Yep.
I guess it's because
she's
she's
a scientist.
Well, okay, she was a scientist, but she mainly relied more on her magical powers and abilities and the power that she commanded. I guess she's relied more on science now because she's somehow lost her powers. I think it's something about the Topians draining her and whatnot. It's not really explained that well, but... Oh my god, you just pointed out another reason that she's way different.
To quickly answer, Teo. No, see, here's the thing, Teo. What I mean, Teo, is like games that just allow the developers to make a hyper-violent game if they want to. And right now, I'm not like Rise Son of Rome. Let's just Rise Son of Rome, which is one of the more recent ones, because that game was pretty violent.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
For good reason.
Why, you're familiar with Rise Son of Rome?
Yeah.
Well, remember, Pedro, it was announced initially as one of the big launch titles of the Xbox One.
Yeah, well,
the Big 10.
Regardless of your thoughts on the whole matter, too, I'm just speaking from the perspective of the kind of games that Xbox fans grew up with. Like, Xbox fans love those kinds of games. The games that are aimed at that older audience and are very violent and that feel the anti-Nintendo type of game, in the same way that Sega was the anti-Nintendo back in its day as well, where they would allow violence in Mortal Kombat 1, whereas Super Nintendo would not allow it. That kind of thing, the counter Nintendo thing. That's the kind of game that the core base would love, but Microsoft hasn't made a game made for that specific. It would be like if Nintendo stopped making Mario games and Kirby games all of a sudden.
But they did because Mario's dead apparently. Ha ha ha! I'm funny. Give me my likes.
I guess you could say, arguably, Gears 5 was their ultra-violent one, which, like I mentioned during our playthrough of that, enemies explode into blocky chunks, so... Yeah, that's your gore.
How about this? I'll be generous. I will give them Gears 5 even. Even if I give Gears 5 as one that counts, okay, that's one. Can we have a bit more, maybe? Because Gears has been along for a long time, and Gears of War is a franchise that, let's face it, has kind of run its course. People are not really all that excited for it anymore. We need something new, and we're not really getting it. That's the main issue. But anyway, see you for the next part, everybody. Maybe we'll find out what happened to Jeff. I don't know what happened to Jeff. Don't worry, I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's fine. See ya.
I'm sure.
See ya.
See ya.